Alright, back into it.
Alright, we're back into it. So, now let's get in the heart of it. So, basketball is more than just a game.
Yeah.
Can you share some personal stories, reflections, and maybe touch on impact it's done for you?
Yeah. So, I was never really a physical kid. Like, I never really did sports. I didn't play anything physical for ages until I hit high school. Like, so I was 13. And then, like, my mum went to Kmart, brought a hoop for Christmas. And I was like, sick.
True.
A hoop for the backyard.
That first
little
hoop,
concrete
man.
slab. And I was like, here we go. I was like, all right. Bang, just started playing. Just started hooping outside. Then I brought 2K, like, probably 4 months after that. Because I was like, oh, I'm obsessed with basketball.
Yeah.
Bang, started playing 2K. And then before I knew it, a year later, I was playing club. So I was like, okay, I'm liking this. This is
Locked in.
This is all of a sudden from years of like doing footy, soccer, things like that, trying and being like, nah, I don't really care.
It's not there, yeah.
Bang, hitting basketball and being like, oh, I love this. I want to play this every day. I want to get my friends involved. I want to do this, that. And then it's a perfect timing that I'm also in high school. So that LeBron starts killing it. As soon as I hit college is when he's versing Golden State, 2015. So it's
Not
like,
back to LeBron again.
I know, I hate bringing it back, but that is what it was.
Keep bringing that shit in, bro.
But then
Keep bringing
that's
that shit in.
progressed through my whole life. Like as I got older, I was like, yep, no, all right. How do I play? How do I get more involved now that I'm not doing club in high school? Like social leagues. Fucking get involved in social leagues. Let's have some fun. Like get a team together. All your boys are just playing. Like acting like you're
Especially
in the
down
NBA.
here, man. Especially down here, there's a lot of good social leagues that a lot of ex-club players play.
That's
like,
depends what div you're in. If you're playing a high div, someone's to get robbed. You'll be playing, you're thinking you're good, and then some dude's dropping 30, and you're like, who is this guy? Like, who's this random Philly? This guy right here. This guy right here.
Definitely not this guy, that's for sure.
Hey, I mean, in the finals when it matters, for sure. Unlike Mr. 8 points over here. You know.
Is that your kind of rundown?
Yeah, man. I don't know what it was.
So
I
it's
don't
brought
know
you a lot of happiness.
It wasn't even anyone involving me in it. Like, it was just me watching it, playing it myself at first, and then watching it and playing it on PlayStation.
Yeah.
It being like, bro, this is just my favourite sport. Like, it took me that long to figure out, like, oh, this is awesome.
It's a natural love.
Yeah.
A first love.
As soon as I hit it.
So love and happiness together.
I grew up, there is a little bit of, like, I grew up with an older brother who's 8 years older than me, so a fair bit older than me, probably similar to you guys.
Yeah.
And he loved basketball. He loved Kobe. He loved Jordan. But I saw it and didn't really care. I played against we had a basketball court at our house growing up, like out in the backyard. Until I was like 10, and then we moved out and lost it. But still, for those couple years, I used to play with like Toby's mate, my older brother's mates, and just play basketball here and there. Kind of liked it. Didn't really like know much. And then as soon as I started watching, I was like, nah, this is the best sport in the world. I love this shit. Like,
100%.
So that does change my like whole course. Maybe not my whole life, but definitely the course of like what I enjoy doing in my spare time.
Yeah.
Like
We get happiness out of it.
Yeah, I love hanging out with mates. I love doing things. I love work. Like I don't mind doing work after like out of work for people that I like. Yeah. But basketball is just something different.
Yeah.
Social doesn't matter. It's
does it provide that like connection with friends that you don't get like outside of the weekends, you know, because you're seeing a group of mates for social basketball every week, whereas you're not going to see them during the week apart from that. Does it add that element for you?
It does for sure, because I guess it's like what certain players feel is like, this is your team. Yeah. Like, these are your boys. These are your boys without them being your boys.
100%.
Like, you don't even know them, but they're your boys all of a sudden. And like, I've always been one for like, as soon as a fight breaks out, as soon as something breaks out, I'm straight up. Like, not fighting, but I'm straight up like, no, whoa. This is our team's fine, what are you doing? No, he's upset.
Backing up the boys.
So there's something about basketball, man, that just drew me.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'll admit it. Yeah,
Respect.
I'm not a fighter. Respect. I have been in some fights. I haven't enjoyed it.
Played the fifth on that.
I'm a lover.
Played the fifth.
If I can do it, I'll love.
So you're happy with that rundown?
I'm happy with that rundown, bro. Like I already mentioned, biggest draw through for me was LeBron. Like, so I get the LeBron love. And this is probably the third Knuckles this talk. But at the same time, it's just the greatest sport to me. Sometimes some things just hit with you, and this is just the thing that hit with me.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel the same way, I hope.
No, it's brilliant. It's great to hear, because I've known you for years and years, and I noticed as soon as you started getting into basketball, it changed a lot for you.
I went from being an unfit player to sort of fit. I was like, oh, here we go. I was
Yeah,
like,
100%. It does give
But
you that
passionate
cardio.
about
Yeah.
something that you want to strive towards getting better at.
yeah.
And that's, I think, the best thing about sport and when you love sport.
No, it's brilliant. No, it's good. So, Billy, yourself.
Yeah.
Is there
Myself.
any reflections or anything you want to bring up that has helped you?
Absolutely.
Late
I mean,
bloomer, this guy.
hey,
Late bloomer, this guy.
definitely a late bloomer. I was always football, as in soccer football.
Yeah.
From day one, I loved
He
it.
was
Went to Ken Morton Academy. Like I
Ken
loved it.
Morton,
He was
Ken
good, man.
Morton, the
Into
ideal,
it.
and I was pretty good. But you know, when you see your older brothers playing basketball, you just want to be them. You know, you got two older brothers far out. You just want to be them, and you want to play basketball. So I decided to play basketball, and like a lot of people, you have that competitive edge, and basketball brings that a little bit more than soccer / football can sometimes. So I really grew to love it from there, and after a couple of years of playing, it did become a bit of an escapism, for sure. It was something to get away from life and from how I was feeling at the time. You know, it really brought me back into my centre, and I got so
How
much
old were you when
enjoyment
you
out of it.
started?
When I started, I was 12, and I still play it. Still play it to now.
10 years.
Coach. His first coach.
My first coach. First coach for our school team at Princess Street Primary
Oh,
School.
there you go. The first legit coach.
First legit coach.
Princess Street boy.
I was a Princess Street boy.
Championship
Yeah,
team.
and then we moved as a family over to Newtown, where we live now, and that's when I went to Newtown High. So I was always the, suburbs kid, but you know, it's always been just like nothing else will be on my mind apart from playing basketball when I'm playing. And it's the most enjoyment I get out of it. And when Mitch got really, really sick, you know, like we had a tournament coming up for our club team to go up to Launceston and playing the state championship. And you know, at the time you think when your brother's sick, you shouldn't be playing, you should be down there all the time. But you know, like the family, it was like, you know, there's nothing you can do. Go and escape for a little while, get away for a little while, and you know, play some basketball, and you know, just
Go cook.
clear, go cook, clear everything from your mind, and look, I had a fantastic time playing in that tournament. It didn't end well. It ended with me in a very, very tight game in like a quarter final, semi final, skitzing out and you know, flipping off at the refs and you know, storming off the court and stuff. But obviously, I was going through something I didn't really realise at the time, you know what I mean?
And he's a Cutler, you know.
So
Game brings it out.
Very
of you.
emotional.
game brings it out.
in
We're
basketball.
very emotional people, and but that's what basketball can do to you at the end of the day. It can just
Sport.
you know,
It's
sport,
kind of like the
yeah.
white line fever. Have you heard of the white line fever?
Absolutely.
Cross the line and you turn into a different person.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man.
So I feel you two are chill, you two are complacent, I think.
Yeah.
But as soon as you guys cross that white line...
Competitiveness, man. Like,
Yeah,
it's a different thing.
people have that competitive streak. Like we are very laid back people, especially our family and whatnot. We're very laid back, but when it does come into when you step on the court, white line fever comes in. You just want to win. So basketball.
I can agree to that. I've seen Billy play, and the switch is there for sure. Get aggressive, get good, get competitive.
100%.
It's brilliant that you two have played against each other.
Yeah.
But no, I love basketball. It's had a massive effect on me on just being able to escape from life, escape from the reality of any sort of situation, especially when Ms. Boy was sick. So yeah, it's definitely played a big part of my life for sure.
Yeah. So we're now going to be diving into something very personal, Mitch. So can you take us through your health journey, especially the ups and downs?
Yeah,
How's
man.
your well-being being played, especially with the basketball side of it?
Yeah, I guess I'll start off with talking about what happened to me, and I'll get into the full detail. You know, I'm not going to shy away from what it was and what happened and what it meant for me. You know, obviously for other people it's different, and which Billy will get into at some point. But so basically, when I was 21, I was about to finish my apprenticeship. It's probably like 4 months off. And I was just at work one day on a Friday. I'll even go back further than that. I'd previously had pneumonia, probably like 8 months earlier.
Yeah.
And it cooked me a fair bit. Like, I woke up at my mate's house at 3 a.m. and just had this pain on the right side of my back, and it was like someone was like stabbing me and like twisting a knife. And they took me to hospital, got scans, you know, and when you get an x-ray, like if there's something wrong with your lungs, there's like these little spurs coming off. So that was there, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, you know, I'm 21.
How old were you?
21.
Yeah.
You know, like this ain't normal kind of thing. It ended up being okay though. Like it's pneumonia. Went to a lung specialist down at the Royal in Hobart down here. And from the scans, they could see there was like this, like kind of like weird, like hole or growth on my right lung. But it was kind of like, to them, it was benign, like it wasn't doing anything. So like they were like confident that it was just pneumonia and they were fine with it. And we kind of went on with life. But I have still this day, like best doctor, like GP I've ever had that my mum goes and sees too. She kind of like, I went and saw her like not long after, and she was the only like medical professional that was just like, there's something not right here. Like, it doesn't look right, but all the indications are you are okay. Like, I got better, pneumonia went, like, I was 21, you know, and, you know,
Is it common for a 21-year-old?
No, not at all. I mean,
Quite
to get pneumonia, you got to be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Pneumonia kills a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a silent killer, pneumonia. And I knew I wasn't going to die of pneumonia because of my age. I was a very fit young man, like,
Just started going to the gym as well.
you know, like, no, well, I went after that. So, like, that was a bit of a, like, wake-up call for me. You know, I smoked a lot. You know, like, partied a lot. And, you know, I know that a lot of people do at that age, but for me, it was just a bit of a, like, I guess I have a bit of a responsibility here to, like, try and get a bit better. So, yeah, I started going to the gym for a solid 6 months and stopped smoking cigarettes, and then probably 2 months before I got sick again, I started smoking again and started partying again. We're still going to the gym. But you know, life catched up, man. I was 21. I'm enjoying myself, you know, like, it's one of those things, like, we all do.
Yeah.
But it got to just before Father's Day, just as September was rolling in. And I was at work on a Friday. And I'd just finished looking after him and his mate, actually, because Mum and Dad were overseas. And they'd just gotten back the day that I went to work, and they got me a pouch of drum cigarettes. And I just remember being at Smoko when I was a tradie, rolling the data, smoking it, and then I just got like a stomachache. Not like I'm going to throw up, like a sharp pain.
Yeah.
Just like that, like, you know, and being a tradie, you know,
It's probably the meat pie.
Yeah. Not even that, the stigma, like, you're going to go home, like, that kind of thing. And, like, shout out to my old workmate, like, he wasn't a dick at all about it. Like, I was generally like, I do feel like shit. And he was like, like, just go home then. And I was like, now I'm the tradie, and I'm like, no, I'm not going home.
Yeah.
You know, and went out the rest of the day feeling like shit. Went to my mate's place after work, had a couple of darts, you know, did a couple of things with him, and started to get that pain again. That they call it the devil's grip.
Yeah, okay.
It's like someone's like stabbing you and twisting. And I started to get that, and I was like, oh fuck, this isn't good.
Yeah.
So I kind of like chilled out, stopped smoking, like, you know, like lay down, and then within like an hour it went. Woke up the next day, fine. Completely fine, like no issue at all. couple of mates were coming around to my mate's place and we were talking about going out that night, and then halfway through the day I just get like this massive fucking fever. Like, still got a photo on my phone of I was talking to this girl and my mate sent her a photo of me lying down in his bed with like a tea towel over it, like a wet tea towel.
Yeah, like full flu sick. Yeah,
full flu sick, and like at the time you're like, it's funny, like I'm 21, like I'm not gonna be fine.
Fuck, I'm really sorry, boys. I need to go toilet real quick.
Yeah, it's
Continue
alright.
this, Mitch.
It's fine.
And then, you know, like, basically, it gets to the point where that fever's getting extreme. My mates come over to go to Prees, to go to town. And I'm like, boys, like, I'm not coming, like, I'm pretty cruel. And my mate's little brother, like, stays with me in his room, watches movies and shit with me. They leave, my fever calms down. And I hadn't eaten probably since Smoko the day before. And then all of a sudden, I feel crook as fuck. And projectile vomiting, God knows what. Like, beyond the lining of my stomach. Because it wasn't bile. It was literally like I was throwing up the water in my body. Like, out of nowhere, just coming out. And I was like, fuck, this is shit. Like, throwing up like that ain't fun. As we all know, you know?
Not at all.
And even then, I'm 21. Like, can't be that bad. Right?
This is a roller coaster for a 21-year-old.
But you know what I mean? Like, so, I'm 21, you don't think that you're fucking dying, right?
Yeah.
You just think, fuck, I'm fucking crook, right? But it'll pass. And I think as well, the mentality of like, the past 4 years of growing up being a tradie, I'll be right. It's the expectation that has been put on you and that I had for myself.
Mm.
Right? And it gets to 4 a.m. later that night. My mates get home from town and they're cooked. Like, fucking cooked. They walk in the room. They take one look at me, even in the state that they're in, and they're just like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you're not well.
Yeah.
Like, at all. And they were cooked. And finally, I was like, they had for ages, they were like, do you want us to call you dad? I was like, no, I'll be right. And finally, I was like, yeah, I think you should call my dad.
Mm. What time was this? 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
On a Sunday morning?
4 a.m. they got home, and it was probably like 6 or 7 a.m. that they called Dad. Dad came and picked me up. Probably got there like 8 or 9. And when I got up to leave, I was just grey. And like, I could barely walk. And I got in the car. Dad drove me home and he was like, what's going on, man? Like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm just fucking so tired, like so crook, like just want to get home. Got home, Dad was like, have a shower, man. Like, got in the shower and like I couldn't even stand up. I had to fucking sit down and shower and just like, you know.
Yeah.
And I got out, lay down on the couch. Dad got me a glass of orange juice, drank it, was there for probably half an hour. And Dad comes up to me and he's like, what do you want to do, Mitchie? Like, and finally, I was like, fucking take me to the hospital, man. Like,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
like, this ain't normal.
Yeah,
It's
time to
fucking
go.
Sunday afternoon. And I've been crook since Friday and had every single fucking sickness. We get in there, man, to the emergency room and they take one fucking look at me. And, like, I feel bad for Dad because, like, he's going off me and what I'm saying. Like, he's like me in a lot of ways. Like, he doesn't know the point of, like, when you should
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
But they were like, if you ever see someone like this, you fucking bring them straight to hospital.
Yeah.
And basically, I get in there. They're like, oh, he's got pneumonia again. Pretty bad. I got the vomit bag, hook me up, put the lines in, do all this shit. And I'm like, whatever, just fucking, fix me. And I'm there. And then it probably wasn't until, like, the next morning that I couldn't sleep. My body was just fully shutting down to the point where I remember getting the big central line needle in your neck.
Wow.
And that needle's fucking big, man. And I remember them covering my face with a cloth. Well, I think it was this way.
Yeah.
I've still got scars on my neck from it.
Were you just feeling rut down? Like, were you just feeling like out of it?
I felt like I was dying.
Yeah, okay.
Basically.
You legit, yeah.
Yeah.
Felt the worst you can.
But like,
yeah.
in my head, I'm like, I'm 21, I'm not dying.
Surely not. Yeah,
You know?
yeah, I get ya.
And they put the cloth over me, and like mum's there, like where you are, being like, oh, like you're right, Mitchy, like they're gonna put the needle in, and then like a minute later, I'm just like, have they fucking put it in or what? And mum was like, yeah, they put it in like 5 minutes ago. I couldn't even feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my whole body. The best way to describe it was, other than it felt like I was dying, it just felt like every part of my body was just in pain.
Wow, yeah.
You know, like, it wouldn't matter if it was my fucking pinky nail. Just every part was just...
There's no escape.
And not a, like, touch sore. Like an internal... It's because my body was shutting down.
Yeah.
Feel like you're rotting.
Yeah, it was rotting, basically. So then I get all that done, and I haven't slept in, like, 4 days. Right?
Yeah.
And it finally gets to the point where, like, I remember people telling me that, like, mates that worked at the hospital and shit, that they came and saw me. And all I could, like, mumble was, like, how I miss you, like, you're right. Like, all I could mumble was, I'm just so tired.
Yeah, wow, man.
Right? I'm just so tired.
Yeah.
And then, because my body was shutting down, and it got to the point where I couldn't keep myself functioning, they decided to put me in an induced coma.
Yeah.
And for the next week and a half, was it?
Yeah, a week and a half plus 2 weeks.
About a week and a half, I was down in the Royal, in Hobart. They were just monitoring me. And it was precaution.
While you're in the coma.
While I'm in the coma.
Yeah.
You know.
And
then it was like, he'll get better. And I just wasn't getting better.
Yeah.
Just getting worse slowly. And luckily, like, shout out to the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne. They just happened to have the best respiratory surgeons and doctors in the world.
Well, okay, yeah.
So they were liaising with them, being like, we've got this patient who's in this condition, it's lung related. From scans, we can see there's something going on, but we don't know, and he's not getting better. So then after about a week and a half, they were like, fly him up.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Bring him up.
Yeah.
And I will add, in that time as well, you did have a surgery to, I believe it was either have a look inside your lungs and your body or drain a liquid
It was that one.
out of your... It was that one.
Try to drain.
So it's your right lung.
See that one there?
Yeah.
Try to drain something out, because they didn't know what it was. Like, they just assumed there was...
So you got no
something
consciousness of this at all?
No,
well,
I'm in
he
an
was-
induced coma.
Yeah,
So,
he-
like, they've linked me up with all these drugs, like ketamine, liquid ketamine, like, all this shit.
And while
Yeah.
you're in a coma, you can't remember
No.
nothing from that.
No, so
I'll get to that. I'll get to
Yeah,
that.
So that they came to us and said, look, like, he's in a coma, he's in a really bad state, there's fluid in his lungs, we need to drain it out. There's a chance that he's not going to come through this surgery, so just be prepared for it. We're going to go into it now.
This
So
is the
we all-
first one.
This is the very
First
first
little
one.
one, and it wasn't a big one.
First little one. So we all sat in the waiting room and just prepared ourselves for the worst, obviously, and luckily you came through with it, and then that's when the outfit.
It came through, but then like it didn't change the outcome.
Yeah.
So then the Alfred was like, right, fly him over.
Yeah.
So they got me in a little flying doctor plane to the Alfred. Got there, and they did their scans, you know, like monitored what was going on, like what they could do. And the surgeon basically made the call and was like, we need to cut this cunt open and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Because we
Was
can't.
This, so this is in Melbourne.
This is in Melbourne. This is at the
So
Alfred.
they aircrafted you over to Melbourne.
Over to Melbourne after about a week and a half. Or 2 weeks.
After about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
So I've been in a coma for 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
So I get there, you know, and then it's like, all right, if we're going to do this, we're going to cut him open. That's a major surgery where you cut, so they cut through up around here, and they had to separate the ribs
Oof.
to
Yeah.
go into and look at the lung.
Yeah.
So like, it was touch and go, and you guys obviously said, yep, like, do it. Has to be done.
So you're
Do whatever the fuck you can.
So they
Yeah,
cut
yeah,
me
Right,
open
yeah. Makes sense.
and separated the ribs, and they looked at the lung, and it was literally like disintegrated, and it was like this massive cyst, like a big pus.
Yeah, okay.
Like
wow.
the lung had literally been eaten away by this sickness,
Yeah.
and they were just like, what the fuck? We have to cut this off before it infects the other lung.
Yeah.
So they cut it off at the stalk. You know, your
Yeah,
lung
yeah,
goes down and then separates.
You can picture
into
it, anatomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cut it off, and then basically you remove a major organ, and a big gap like that, your blood's just pissing out.
Yeah, it's got to
In there.
adjust for sure.
So
Jeez.
they called you guys in to come and basically say goodbye because they weren't sure whether I'd make it through because I'd lose all blood and just, you know. And you guys came in and there was like 20 doctors and nurses running around
Headless chickens.
replacing the blood in my body 24 times.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then these guys went home and
It was on.
they were like, expect a call.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mum got a call at 6 a.m, you know, the next day. And the important thing about the surgery was they need the blood to clot so that it'd stay and it'd form
Clot, yeah.
and I wouldn't bleed out.
Yeah, okay.
So they called Mum at 6 a.m, and she's obviously like, this is the call that my son's fucking dead.
Yeah.
But they were like, look, I know we throw the word around that things might be okay, but the blood's starting to clot and he's starting to stabilise.
So yeah, finally hit some good news.
First, probably good news in like over a month.
Mm.
And from there, they came in and it was like, okay, stabilising. I still remember Mum and Dad went to have a break. My grandparents, my mum's parents, came up because they were about to go on a cruise. And they were like, we're not going to go unless Mitch wakes up. And Mum and Dad went down to get a coffee. My grandparents are in the ICU with me. And the doctor walks in and he's just like, all right, we're going to wake Mitch up now. And they're like, what the fuck? So they
Is
bring me
your
up.
mum's parents or dad's parents?
Mum's parents. So they bring me off the drugs. And to me, because I'm on all these drugs and I'm tripping balls, I'm like, in my eyes, I woke up and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Get up out of bed, walk around, go to the window. I'm like, I'm not in Hobart.
Yeah, moody.
You know, like, what the fuck? You know, like,
yeah.
they put me back under because apparently I woke up. and I'm there like this, trying to pull the fucking, like, tube out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And then they put me back under, pulled it out, then woke me up again. And, you know, I remember so much of that week wearing off the drugs, but there's so much that I am just have no idea what was real and what wasn't.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I wake up...
You would have had so many conversations
Dude.
with your family members that you had
Oh,
no
yeah.
idea.
Dude, like, no, but, like, I'm there, like looking at this, I'm like, who fucking shot me?
Yeah.
Like, someone shot my high school best friend and killed them. Like
Wow,
in my mind, like, I
yeah.
was, like,
Yeah.
asking the nurse to look up my friend on Facebook because I thought he died.
Yeah.
You know, like,
You were
it was
just
crazy, man.
world,
I was on another world. And it took me...
That was the year that the Bulldogs won the
Yeah,
premiership as well, and he was talking about how the Bulldogs were winning the premiership even though he was asleep for the whole entire time
Yeah.
that happened. So it was just a little bit...
Consciousness
Yeah, like,
is the craziest
someone's
thing.
talked
How it
too
works.
much.
I woke up and I'm saying, like, you know, who shot me? Kevin Durant hates the media.
Kevin Durant has...
Yeah,
Kevin
like,
Durant
and that was when
joined
he
the
moved.
Warriors.
True.
That was when he moved to Golden State. Like,
Yeah.
just after the 2016 finals.
Yeah.
And I was saying also, like, you know, typical shit, like, where's my phone?
Yeah.
I need to
okay.
tell people shit.
Fuck, man.
You know, and then, so it got to, like, probably like 3 days later, they didn't want to tell me what was going on because I didn't know how I was going to react. And a doctor comes in doing the rounds and he's like, oh, so you know what's happened to you, Mitch? And I have a nurse, in ICU, you have a nurse there 24/7.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, what the fuck's going on? And he's just straight up like, oh, so like you've lost a lung, like, and my nurse went fucking skits and was just like, what are you doing? Like, and I'm just there like,
Don't tell me.
they all
Yeah.
just stopped and turned to me and I'm just like, so like, am I like gonna die? And they were like, nah, like, you can live like a pretty healthy, normal life with one lung, but you know, you've
Be
got to look
cautious,
after
yeah.
yourself, be cautious, all this stuff. And I was just like, so what's the fucking problem then? And they were just like, we
Yeah.
did not expect that,
Yeah.
you know. And like, I still wasn't fully with it,
Yeah.
but I think it touched back to kind of like, in a lot of ways, like, moving forward, how I was able to deal with such a full-on traumatic experience by really just kind of honing in on, like, there's so much, like, worse outcomes that could have happened from this.
Yeah.
Even in that state where I wasn't fully me, it was still just like, I had that mentality, you know? And I think, you know, when I finally got out of ICU, obviously I'd seen my family and like, I hadn't cried yet. It wasn't because I didn't want to, but it was because I was comfortable.
Do you think the grievousness wasn't there, or?
I think it was the understanding, because I'd seen my family pre going into the coma and then straight after. The first time I cried, shout out to Jim Pennicott, if you ever see this, was mine and Decky, my older brother's like really good friend, Jim, who outside of my family is probably the closest person I've ever been to. And Decky, my older brother, messaged him and was just like, do you, like, he's awake, like, he's in general ward, like, do you want to come see him?
Yeah. Okay.
And Jim was like, fucking oath I do. And Jim walked in with an orange Gatorade, which is what I wanted,
Yeah.
Good old
and
Gator.
just saw him walk in the room
Yeah.
crying, and for the first time, reality of the situation hit me,
Yeah.
and I just burst into tears.
Yeah, wow.
And it's still one of the greatest moments of my life.
Yeah.
because it was so raw. You know, it was just pure like, I get it. Like, I can see what you've been through.
Yeah.
And now my family too. Like, you guys have been through
realization just hitting you. Yeah.
this absolute fucking like traumatic experience, and like going on to the next part of like everything. Like, obviously the recovery was like, I should have been in hospital for 3 months, but I was 21, man. I'm getting out of there fucking sooner than that. Like,
as soon as you can, kind of thing.
and like, I think it touches back to like who I am as a person and like growing up, like
I think
my determination.
this is a remarkable story, like, honestly.
Yeah.
I think hearing it just raw and taking us through each part is
100%. But I think
you lose words, honestly. Like, I think the only thing you have to say is that
I think for me though is like,
it's amazing that
like
you are
this,
where you are.
that experience is Billy's experience, my family's experience, everyone that loves me and is close to me and has some respect for me, they went through that.
Yeah.
What I went through was completely different, and that's what so many people don't understand. And like, that goes on to the next part of like, I guess the story is like the recovery, which is like what I had to go through alone, you know, and that's where you really kind of like find out who you are.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think from an internal point of view, what you went through is not only amazing how you've got to where you are now and how you've recovered.
Yeah.
From an external point of view, it'd be a completely different story because family, friends, and everything wouldn't have a clue what's going on through your mind.
100%.
Is one.
Yeah.
They kind of know what's physically going on, but the mental side of it is the resilience to be able to keep going and to be able to get yourself to where you are now.
Yeah.
And like you said, 3 months in the hospital. Like you said, you're 21 years old. This is
I'm
not common.
I'm not
for
staying there for 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
I
common
want to
for
get back to
21.
Hobart,
It's
man.
not common for a
I
21
want to
year
see
old.
all my friends. Like, you know, like the crazy thing is like, you're 21, you wake up, and my mum's old work colleague started a GoFundMe. And if I didn't grow up in Hobart at this point, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Right? $25,000 was raised for my family in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That is an insane amount as well.
Yeah,
for
like,
a year.
It's crazy, man.
And that allowed my family to stop working and come and be there in
Yeah.
Melbourne with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is huge.
yeah, and that's like, to me, like, the messages, the love from old friends, like even from Melbourne that I went to primary school with, that meant so much. But it was what people did for my family in my name, right? For the situation. And like, if I wasn't in Hobart, like, that wouldn't have been possible.
100%.
You know, and that's why I'll always have love for this place. I'll always love the fact that I grew up here. But, you know, at the end of the day, as well, it is like, I had a unique experience of like, when you're that age, you don't know like self-value.
Yeah.
What do you mean to people? I literally got to experience what it would be like and what mark I would leave on people if I died.
Yeah. Which is such
Like-
a rare thing to like to experience.
That leads me to get to a spot where we'll take a quick break and then we'll get into Billy's perspective.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Because that is, that's incredible.
Nice, Miss Boy. Whew, that was hard to hold. So
I hate to pull this one off, boys, but I actually got to go.
Get straight back into the podcast. We're going to get straight into Billy. So you're Mitch's brother. I want to kind of get into how have you seen this journey through your eyes and kind of the family friends dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ms. Boy's experience is one of his own, and our perspective as a family looking in on what happened to Mitch was completely different, because while Mitch was in that coma, he was put to sleep one moment, and then 3 months later he was woken back up again. But 1 month, sorry, not that long, my apologies. But for
3
us,
months would have been fucked.
yeah, for us, that whole entire time we were present and we were there the whole entire time while he was going through it. So we felt all of those highs and those lows of going through surgery, it being 50-50 and not. So it's affected us as a family a whole lot more than, yeah, it might have affected Ms. Boy in a different sort of way and do it in a different sort of way. And that's, you know, for me personally, it's, you know, really sort of opened my eyes at the time that I saw Mitch. He was my older brother and he was invincible. You know, sometimes you look at your older brothers and they can't do no wrong. They're just these perfect people. And then I see my brother go through 3 surgeries where we were told that might not make it out by the end. And that really brings you back down to earth and makes you really... I was only 15 years old at the time, going to school, and, you know, I was smoking a little bit at the time as well. So, yeah, didn't really fully know how to process it. And when you look back on it now, it does give me a whole lot of understanding of that we are all human at the end of the day, and, you know, no one is perfect. And to look back on the journey,
We're not machines.
We're not machines by any stretch of the imagination whatsoever. And to see the journey that Ms. Boy's taken from that point in time and seeing him lying in bed, you know, thin as a twig, you know, had no muscle, no bone on him, nothing, rambling and just like a shell of a human being, to seeing how he's done this full 360 in his life is, you know, is really, really beautiful. I'm very proud of him, from being a tough tradie, going into being sick and going through what no one else goes through, and then to completely flip his lifestyle into being a social worker, which is not what people do. They don't go from being a tradie to a social worker. That's just not what happens.
It's rare.
It's a rare occurrence. So I'm very proud of this, you know, sort of personality flip, and, you know.
But we need more people out there like that.
Absolutely. You know, you got to go outside the box a little bit, and, you know, he's a prime example of that. You know, so. Look, my greater family could speak on their perspectives of him going through it. Me personally, I was, we can cut this out if we need to, but I was smoking bongs at the time, so I was suppressing a lot of those feelings and not able to process them in the right way, because I was only a kid. I was only 15 years old. I didn't know what was going on. I could feel it, and like Ms. Boy, I only cried months and months later after it happened. Then it fully dawned on me once I had been out of that, you know, hazed, you know,
it's a way to escape.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not worth cutting out at all, because it's an experience, life experience, and life experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look back on, and it's shaped you to where you are now.
Absolutely.
And you're looking back through this time of life, you realise that time in that stage of life, that was a way for you to deal with it. Nowadays, you probably would deal with them differently.
I think
you wouldn't have known that unless
I didn't know that. You know, I was on 2 years steady every single day by that point. So
I think as well though, because like, you know, like at that point in our lives, like I wasn't a good brother to you. You know, like he always looked up to me, but he was just that annoying little fucking brother. You know, like I was very close with Dec. Yeah, I was going through shit in my life at that point where I had this little brother who just wanted my love, and I never gave it to him. And yeah, I always regret that. But going on from after getting sick and like I'll get into it later, but like getting from that point where there was not a relationship to then like where we are now is like fucking huge, man.
Day.
You know, like
day for what it was.
Sorry, Dec, but you know, like I'm closer with Billy than I am Dec, and like Dec and I grew up being like best friends. You know, and I think part of that relationship grew from what happened and me kind of coming to the realization that like I wasn't a good brother to my little brother because I was used to being the little brother.
Mm.
You know, didn't want to be the middle brother, I guess.
You wanted to be that eldest brother, dishing it out and not taking any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know my brother Cow. You live with him.
Unfortunately.
Me and Cow. Me and
Love you,
Cow. We were similar. We weren't too close when we were young. We were because we would always be together.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah. You're
But
always in the same house.
I think when I kind of turned that kind of probably 18, college,
Yeah.
near college age, I got to a spot where
When you came to Goons that time, brother, eh?
oh, it was a mixture. It was a mixture because Cow and I, we were never too tight. We'd fight a lot. We'd
Yeah.
do a mixture of things, and
Yeah.
then he's now like, yeah, could classify him as like one of my best mates.
Best
Yeah,
mates,
for sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah.
And why wouldn't you want to have that with your brother? You know, at the end of the day, I think.
Oh, we've been gone through thick and thin together.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like
Yeah.
he's always been there.
Yeah.
In a way, I haven't looked at it that way,
Yeah.
but he's
Yeah.
always been there.
No.
I do hate though, like, you know, I have mates out there that aren't that close with their brothers. And I'm just like, why would you not? Like, this is someone that you grew up with.
I think
that
life experiences in a depth like this can make that connection. Some
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
unfortunately, have never been
Yeah,
able
it's-
to
It's so true. I mean,
experience
touched on
a
good
connection
point.
where
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
been able to get that close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. We all went through something as brothers in a family that maybe some other people don't go through, so you don't get that little olive branch connecting it. It's a fantastic point, man. That's exactly what happened.
Mm.
You know, would we be as close now if Me's born ever got sick? I say yes, but you
I
just
think,
don't know. You just don't know.
I definitely
it's
think
a good
yes.
point.
You know, the moment that you and me, I think, like, became close was the first time that I knew that I was the only one that could help you. You know, when you were being a little prick and mum and dad called me and they were like, we don't know what to do with him.
How old are you in this stage?
Turning 18 in like 3 months.
Yeah, 18.
So then I went straight to my manager when I was a tradie. I had my own team and I was just like, I want to hire my own people because I'm sick of getting casuals that don't turn up and do the work with me and for me. I know someone that may not have the skill, but he will do whatever I say and will come every day with me. And they were like, all right, fine. So I just called Billy. And I just said to mum and dad, I was like, leave it with me. Called Billy and I was like, mate, come up here with me for 4 months.
This is why
You can live with
Melbourne,
me.
isn't it?
Yeah.
2019.
You can live with me. You can work with me. There's conditions, but it was the first time that I knew that I could actually be his older brother and be a brother. And I knew that you would jump on that.
Jump on the chance, yeah.
Because it was the first time I was showing this.
Yeah.
And, you know, Billy
This
was
is pre-COVID too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pre-COVID,
just before it.
Right before, yeah. Right
And, you know,
before 2019,
Billy
yeah.
was at his, probably your lowest, man.
Yeah,
Like,
probably the lowest for sure.
and that's where it was like, I knew that me saying that, it was the one thing that you'd be like, oh my God, my brother's actually, like,
reaching out.
reaching out to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
No, and so you know, to put it all together in a little context, you know, like that whole experience is like for me personally, and it is a blessing in disguise because a lot of good has come out of it. But for me, it might be a little bit different. But in the day, you know, it does bring us together as a family. So you just got to take the good things from the bad. You know, when Mitch was talking about that his health story just then, that was extremely triggering for me. You know, like it's hard to hear that stuff and go through it again. So it's, you know, it's good to be able to just understand the good that's come out of that rather than just always focusing on the bad.
Well, I look at it from like internal point of view for Mitch, external point of view for you, even a more external point of view for me.
Yeah.
It's touching. It honestly is, and
Mm.
I think you guys you do have a remarkable family. I know your family,
Thank you, mate.
and I have to say that like you lose words to say to it, but all I can say is I've got like the utmost respect for Mitch yourself, for the resilience you put in to get to where you are.
Thanks, bro.
No, honestly. And Billy, you've been a good kind of pillar to help Mitch lean towards, because you've helped keep the foundation for Mitch to be able to continue to grow.
Appreciate that.
Man.
And
appreciate that.
You can probably lean towards him as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think,
appreciate those words, man. Yeah.
And absolute respect to your parents, Linda and Mark.
Yeah.
And Farge.
What I'm about to...
and Declan as well.
I
don't know too much.
Yeah. He was a massive rock in that whole entire thing. So,
but like what I'm about to get into with my recovery is like, also like, what was important and the people that were like absolute game changing into like where I'm at now. Like, and both my brothers were at different points the two most influential people to like get me to where I am now in different ways though. And I guess that starts us with the next segment.
Let's get into this next segment, which is basically about your hobbies and overcoming challenges. And I think the best way to wrap things up is let's touch on your hobbies outside of basketball, which is a mixture of things for you. But how do these activities help you overcome challenges and maintain a balance in your life? Because I think from an out point of view, you're not only doing social work, but you're also helping people in your own life, your family, your friends, but you're also doing now a career that's helping people out there that need help.
Yeah, man. I think the biggest and hardest part for me post everything was I was still the same person, but to everyone else, I was different. And going through that first 9 months, like I moved to Melbourne because I knew that Tassie wasn't the place to be the bloke that nearly died.
Was that to grow in a different way?
It was to deal with what happened in my own way. And I needed to go to the person that I was probably most comfortable with, which was Declan, because he lived in Melbourne. And I needed to get away from mum and dad because I didn't want them to have to see me every day and be somewhat of,
in a way?
Somewhat of a reminder, but stress about me, right? So like, especially mum, like...
Yeah, classic a mother thing.
Like dad was pretty chill after, but, me and mum have always, in some ways, had our issues since. And I totally understand why. It's because that raw love between a son and a mother, she is always worried about me.
The nurturing part.
And I just, like, selfishly, I couldn't be around it. And I knew that mum wanted to be around me. But I also, in my own way, knew that our relationship would be better if I wasn't around her 24/7. Yeah. And that was definitely the case. Like, my relationship with mum has always been 50 times better when I've lived in Melbourne. We talk a lot more. Like, we get along more. It's just more natural, and I think with Dad's, after everything, he kind of just like, he moved on. He's like, he's fine.
More in the present.
He was in the present. Mum was the rock. Deck was the rock. Billy and Dad were probably the ones that were in the present.
Yeah. We were taking things as they come, rather than trying to.
So you know, I was like, all right, I'm going, and like, Mum supported that, which I respect the fuck out of her for, because that would have been so hard. But she knew that like this is something that I needed to do, and I got a house with Decky, and one of my best friends moved up with me, and it was awesome. You know, it was tough because I had this year of just being told from my family, my friends, doctors, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And all I knew was this life I had before, because I just fell asleep and woke up. So I didn't know who I was anymore, because I felt like I'm this person, but I'm being told I'm not. And no one really understood it other than Declan, but it took time for Dec. You know, Dec used to parent me when I first moved over. And I turned around to him one day and I was like, I don't need a fucking parent. I need my brother. So then he laid off. He let me do things that I probably shouldn't have done, learn my own way. And then it got to a point towards the end of the year, my first year in Melbourne, where, you know, I was working, but I wasn't happy. And like, I've been told for the past 9 months, like, you can't do this, you can't do this. You can't play basketball, you can't be a tradie anymore. You have to change your life. And Declan was the first person that asked me, what do you actually want to do? And that was probably one of, if not the first, like, major changing points in my life post getting sick. And I was like, dude, I want to fucking be a tradie. You know, like, I didn't finish doing that on my own terms. And then Decky was like, well, then make it work. You know, and like a simple thing like that.
How old were you around this time?
22. Simple thing like that. First person that asked me, what do you actually want to do? And I found a way to do it. I got a job that was okay for my health to do. It was glazing. And it was tough. I was like, you know, had never been a confident person. Always doubted myself. Gave so much time to other people, never to me.
Would you say you're yourself biggest critic?
100%, man. I didn't like myself, basically. But I got enough out of helping other people.
Which is,
and then
doesn't seem like that from the outside, and never seem like that from the outside as well. That's people.
But you know, like,
you never
self biggest driver.
Yeah. So much of that was just confidence based. I had no belief in myself. I had determination. I hated in sport and shit when someone, you know, like, beat me. Like, I had that competitive nature, but I didn't, like, back myself. You know, like, I could have been so much better at sport growing up. Just didn't have confidence. And then all of a sudden, I, like, get this job and I'm like, shit to begin with. Like, terrible. You know, I'm like, fuck, man, can I do it? Can I do it? And then something just, like, clicked in me. And I was just like, nobody knows who the fuck you are. You can be whoever you want to be. And you've been through something that, like, you need to just use. Like, what is worse than that? And then just bang. Like, it was like, it was like taking drugs for the first time. All of a sudden, like, confidence. Backing myself. And I was just like, holy fuck. Like, within 3 months, pay rise. Like, wanted to do more. Went straight to, like, this is a multi-million-dollar company. Went straight to the CEO. And I was like, I'm doing this, doing this, doing this. I want a pay rise. But I just don't want a pay rise. I want to move into the office. I want to do this. I want to do this. And he was just like, I fucking respect the fuck out of what you just told me then. Like, within 3 weeks, he moved me into the office. Like, you know, like, it wasn't just like betting on myself and talking shit, because I could do it, or I knew that if I didn't know how to do it yet, I'd work it out. I had the confidence to be like, oh, you'll fucking work it out, Mitch. And it was just like a drug. Like, I was like, what
is that how
this?
you got onto the path to become a social worker?
No. So all of a sudden I have confidence, so now I'm an arrogant cunt. Right? And that lost me. It didn't lose me friends, it lost me respect though. Because when you find something for the first time, you have no filter, man. Like, and I was just a bit of a prick, I guess. And I wasn't a terrible person. I was still me, but I'm still in this stage of discovering who I am. I've got confidence for the first time. I'm owning what happened to me. But then, like, I lost the part of me of who I was, which is my empathy, my perspective.
Being in someone else's shoes.
Yeah. And then COVID happened. And obviously I have one lung, so it was just like, well, fuck, I could die. I have to...
And it was hitting Melbourne hard.
It was hitting Melbourne hard. My work actually told me to go back home. You know? And like, they were like, you can come back when it's over, but we don't know when that is. And obviously COVID lasted longer than we thought, so I moved back home and I lost my job. And then, you know, I'm living with mum and dad again, and then Billy moves back down. And I'm becoming mates with Billy and his friends, and like, a lot of them don't have older brothers, and all of a sudden I'm like a bit of a role model, you know, and like kind of like, you know, like I love these boys, like they remind me so much of me when I was 18, and I can do so much for them, and I want to. And if it weren't for my relationship with Billy and his friends, it wouldn't have inspired me to get into social work, because I always knew that I could do it, but I was all of a sudden mature enough, like had dealt with what happened to me and had enough life experience to be like, I'm not academically that good, but I can get through uni because I know how to fucking...
You got the drive and resilience.
I know, but I also know how to do this shit, right? So I went to uni to do my diploma, and I was like, if I can pass my diploma, I can do it.
So what did you end up studying at uni?
Diploma of social work with my good friend Ali. If it weren't for him, I
Good old Ali. We all know
wouldn't have been able to do it. But it's vice versa, you know. We helped each other in a lot of ways, and you know, credit to me and him. Like, it was foreign to us, and we fucking did really well, man. We motivated each other, had fun, experienced that together, and you know, I passed the diploma and I've never looked back, you know, and I got a job through like an old family friend who...
Is this in Hobart or Melbourne?
In Hobart, yeah. So became a youth worker because when I first was studying, she was like, oh, I used to work here, like when you finished your diploma, like I'll message you about it. And I was like, yeah. Didn't think of anything of it. She sent me the job application. I wasn't even sure if I was ready for it. I applied, got the interview, got the job, and I was just like, fuck.
Just got stuck in straight away.
Here we go, like, this is it.
And how long did you do that before you ended up making the move to Melbourne?
It was about 6 months before.
So
and
yeah,
that
6
allowed
month
me to move
experience.
to Melbourne,
Yeah.
basically.
So 6 month experience down in
Yeah.
Hobart to be able to move to the Melbourne side.
And then moved to Melbourne, and now I'm in, like, basically homelessness and AOD, and these people are incredible, man. Like, it is the best work I've ever done. And I've grown in the company. You know, I've been given a lot of opportunities that, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, do I deserve it? Like, but at the same time, like, I know that, like, I'm good at my job, like, naturally, like I vibe with it, and, like, I'm respected by my peers and by clients, and like sometimes you question things, but like for me to sit here after 8 months of working there and be like, oh, this is like the best job I've ever had, work with incredible people, it just kind of like makes it so much fucking easier. And moving to Melbourne was really hard because I knew I'm leaving behind my family. My dad's getting older. I'm leaving behind my brother and his partner, who I love, and are going through a tough time themselves, and leaving my younger brother and my beautiful mum, who, like, you miss it, all of that. And that's important to me. But I felt selfish being like, I've loved being back here, but something was missing. And it was Melbourne because I didn't leave on my own terms. And I've grown a lot as a person, even more than I did my first stint there. So it was just like, I have to do this for me. And it was the right fucking decision.
Do you think that Hobart will always be a hub where you go into Melbourne to explore and grow yourself? And
look, I'm a single man. Like, if I do end up with someone, and I do end up having kids, I'd want them to go to high school here, man. Like,
yeah, I think Hobart's beautiful, and
it's
you can find yourself here.
Absolutely.
I look back at my life and I'm like, so much good has just happened out of me personally being here, and why would I not want that life for my potential kids if I have them? Like, it's, I think the only unfortunate thing is like being in Melbourne. If I meet someone, they're probably from Melbourne, so I'd have to convince them to move down to Tassie. But
which they might think we're double-headed or
the
classic
Tassie
banter.
I've already got the scars on my neck, so
and a couple down here as well. So.
But yeah, man, I think at the end of the day, like, out of everything that's happened, I'm glad it happened, because if it didn't, I wouldn't be the same person, and I don't think I'd be as happy and complete, for sure.
It might be cliche as anything, but do you feel like you've gone through the dirt to get to the green? To, like, grow?
It's
a good description, I reckon, 100%.
No.
I would say it as.
Yeah.
Because...
Or do you think you'll always be growing?
I'll always be growing, because I want to.
I think that's the mindset to have, though.
Like...
But
I love being challenged. I want to keep being challenged.
Yeah, for sure. But do you think you're going to go through more dirt, worse than what you've already gone through? I feel like you've gone through a lot of dirt early on to get to a greener side.
Life-changing experiences.
Life-changing experience. That's dirt. Like, that's mud at the end of the day, right there.
Like, as hard as everything was, I've gone through things that have, I think, emotionally hurt me more than getting sick. So to me, I think I've used it as a tool rather than a burden, and I think
rather than a crutch or something.
Yeah, like, and I think, anyone out there that's going through something, like, if there's something that is holding you down, like, seek help and just try and, like, be true to yourself, I guess. Like, that was the only thing that got me through, was seeking help through the way that I thought that I could, which was my friends and my family. But I also really kind of wanted to just, like, go through this unique experience and work it out for myself.
It's a good way to actually bring things to a wrap, actually.
Yeah.
That is, I think, a full 360 of your experiences. And for you, personally, it's actually been brilliant to hear secondhand raw.
Raw, mate. Raw.
I
Very
think,
raw.
Billy,
Very
it's
raw.
been brilliant to have you on board.
Thank you, my brother.
We could continue
Thank
on
you.
this for hours. And I
Thank
think the
you.
best thing to say is thank you, Mitch Cutler, coming on, telling your life experience.
Thank you, Sam, for having me in Bizza. You know, it's an important message, I think, to, you know, be there for the ones that you love, and, you know, no matter what experience you go through, you're not alone. So,
Well said. You'll never walk alone as Liverpool.
You're never walking alone.
fuck Liverpool.
Don't
mate.
you're Arsenal or you Liverpool?
I'm Liverpool through and through.
His brother's Arsenal, that's why he's my
Me and McFarge are
guy.
Liverpool. Me and McFarge are Liverpool, so we love
I
it.
love it.
No,
It's
beautiful.
brilliant.
Thanks for having us
Billy,
on. Brother.
absolute pleasure having you on, mate.
Love what
Appreciate
you're
you
doing.
coming on.
Love what you're doing.
And we'll
It's
both
good.
get you on for future because we've
Let's
got
do
a
it.
basketball part and this
Yeah.
is
Mate,
Mitch's
I'd-
life journey. So
I'd love
we've
to
got
do
two parts.
the call in when you have Decky and Biz here, and I'll
Absolutely.
get me up on the screen.
Yeah. Is there anyone you want to shout out quickly, actually? Billy, fire away, mate.
Shout out to Mum and Dad. Love you both. Shout out to Declan and Maddie. Love my family. And shout out to this guy right here for calling out his story and sharing it. It's beautiful. Even though he does love to talk, he's talking about something real good here. So I love it. It's good.
Well said.
I've already shouted out Jim Pennicott, but again, I don't know if you'll see this, but I'll probably send it to him. Still one of the most important people in my life outside of my family, and I'll always love him.
Legend.
I guess as well, like, you know, shout out to my fucking workmates, man. Love you guys. Like, you help me get through every day at that lovely place, you know. And definitely my housemates, like, they've made it bearable and an easy transition to be uncomfortable leaving everything behind again.
Yeah.
So Holly, Angus, Cal, Henry, even Roger. Little prick. Love you guys, and looking forward to coming back home and seeing you again.
Beautiful.
Beautiful,
you,
well
man.
said.
Appreciate it.
Well, you can follow us on talkingsmackpod.com,
Yeah.
Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple.
Follow it up.
Follow
Number one on
that shit.
Apple TV, baby. Number one on Apple TV.
Talking Smack #1.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Beautiful.
And that's
Thank
it.
you.